There's no better track to head to as we head now to round number 4 of the Legacy Truck Series than the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Welcome back to the Prodigy Racing Association SimPulse Legacy Truck Series, and tonight, after what we have seen 2 consecutive short track races, it's time once again to head to a bigger circuit, the intermediate track in Concord. This is Charlotte Motor Speedway. Great to be back live on FTN. Going to be the first of 2 consecutive iRacing events we have tonight on the platform. And on FTN, we've got league racing to cover. Zach Saunders, 2 consecutive race victories coming into tonight, looking for 3 in a row. However, tonight he does not have the pole position. That currently goes to Corey Lyles. And we'll see whether or not Lyles is the man who holds on to the pole position by the time the session ends. Still a little bit more time with about 5 minutes remaining left in the session. I'll be your host for tonight's event. It's once again great to be back. I'm David Kreutz, your commentator and producer for tonight's show. Now, most drivers have already taken a time from first on down. Corey Lyles finds himself at the top of the charts, and the rest of the field, for the time being, are still waiting for an opportunity. However, most drivers have gone in with the exception of Justin Wallace and Joey Kuba. These are the 2 drivers that have still not gotten out of the track at all. And every other driver has taken at least 2 qualifying laps. So, as it stands, a majority of the qualifying lineup is set up. It's going to be Corey Lyles and Zach Saunders provisionally on the front row. And then from there, of course, most other drivers within 1 second of the pole position time. So, expecting some very close and competitive laps in qualifying if we see any from Joey Kuba or Matt Wallace, respectively. Majority of the field coming in knows the circumstances in the championship race, and right now, it's, of course, Zach Saunders finds himself at the front. 2 consecutive race victories, and he's there with a huge points advantage. Been building it up race in, race out as of late, and of course, dominant race victory coming through 2 weeks ago at Richmond. Led every lap on the day, and went from the back of the field all the way on up when it came down to the USA International Speedway. While Saunders was not as dominant, still led most laps on the day and ended up in victory lane. As such, there's still a very real opportunity for him to collect a checkered flag tonight and make it 3 consecutive victories. Of course, right now, he's just got to get through those first opening laps, and we'll see if he makes the pass on current pole sitter Corey Lyles. As we wait a while longer for these drivers to get out of the racing circuit, we have a few minutes to discuss the circuit that we are driving at tonight, and that is the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. You can see it on your screen right now, the track map and track information for tonight's race. Charlotte Motor Speedway now in operation for more than 60 years here in the real world. Based out of Concord, North Carolina, the home for stock car racing. This mile-and-a-half circuit is last seen a repave just about 20 years ago in anticipation of the 2005 Coke 600. So the surface slowly but surely is being worn in, aged out, and this configuration in particular comes from 2019, around the time the Charlotte Roval was, for the very first time anyway, introduced into stock car racing. So these drivers are going to be working with some moderately worn-in pavement tonight, not going to be brand new like the Legacy Charlotte configuration, which we went to for our recruitment race that was broadcasted, but instead a more modern version of the track, where these drivers should be able to hit higher speeds with a little bit more of that stable pavement and some worn in grooves, making it that much easier for the entirety of the field. 4 turns tonight, running the traditional oval configuration, and this track, the brainchild of NASCAR pioneer Curtis Turner, has seen quite a lot of iterations in its lifetime. Inside the track, you have the Legends Oval and the Legends Road Course, not to mention the now iconic Charlotte Roval, which has seen use in sports car competition and, of course, stock car racing, as the Roval has made its way to the Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and ARCA racing all the same. With that being said, Charlotte Motor Speedway the place to be tonight, and while it might look simple on the surface, one of those tracks where it is challenging to master, and it looks like only one driver able to do so in this qualifying session. And that driver is Corey Lyles. Qualifying has concluded, and at the top of the board for tonight's event, the number 56 of Corey Lyles will grab the pole position, gap to second, 48 1/1000ths, and Zach Saunders not able to go for 3 consecutive pole positions. We'll see whether or not he pulls through with his 3rd consecutive win when all is said and done tonight. And now, with drivers getting their way onto the track, it's going to be a day-to-night event. You can already see the sun beginning to set, and as such, at the front of the field, there's Lyles and the JFR crew going to be coming right there with. Majority of the field getting lined up as we speak, and with that being said, it's time to get to know your starting grid from top to bottom. So looking from the front of the field on down, we mentioned him previously. He is indeed your pole sitter. It is at the top of the board tonight, the number 56 of Corey Lyles inside of row number 1, and Zach Saunders then in there. He will be in second. The number 99 machine going to be right there, right beside Corey Lyles with 2 consecutive wins coming into tonight's event. Lyles for JFR. He knows his teammate had some success here, and his teammate is going to be starting in the second row no longer. He gets pushed back because of Blake Nottestead, the rookie, and Tony Jones are going to be 3rd and 4th. Jones came through in nearly the 2nd spot last week. However, last lap tried to make his way in, wasn't able to make it happen, and he came through a spinner and a wrecker at the end of the day, while Zach Saunders got to victory lane. Then from there, it's going to be Thomas Coonan, 5th spot, and he won the Charlotte recruitment race we had earlier in the year, and Jace Hale then going to be position number 6. 7th spot on the order going to be Cameron Fields, and 8th is going to go to Trevor Gill. 9th spot, well, position number 9, right behind Gill, you're going to have Austin LeBlanc and Cameron Albertson. Albertson to the admin box boys, a little bit of trouble last week getting involved with one another, and with all being said and done, still looking to come home with a top 10 finish tonight, as we've only just gotten things started here in Charlotte. Albertson going to be able to out-qualify a few other drivers, namely Easton Ridner. Easton able to get a pole position, or rather a podium, as he almost jumped up to the race win at the very end last week in USA, and Aaron Fontaine, hoping not to end up knocking down the fence tonight, is going to be in 12th to start this race in qualifying order, as 13th goes then to Jake Raven, who got a top 3 as well last week with Cody Linscott, then 14th. 15th, Nicholas Wagner, Joey Kuba, then in 16th. And round out the field tonight, it'll be the 088 of Justin Wallace, inside and lonely on row 9 to round out the grid for tonight's event. That is your starting lineup for the Queen City 225. We are a half lap away from racing in the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now as the field comes through turns 3 and 4, the sun setting and conditions are just right to go racing. It's going to be Corey Lyles up at the front of the field here in Charlotte, and beside him a 2-time winner who's already got himself a firm lead in the championship, looking to establish the boundary even more between he and his competitors. Zach Saunders, for the first time ever since USA, he finds himself not at the front of the field. Let's see what we can do as we grab the gears here in Charlotte. Green flags out for 225 miles of racing. Corey Lyles leads us through the first 2 turns. Lyles gets away, going to be more so a battle for second, if anything. Now going to be Blake Nottestead going to the inside on Zach Saunders. Saunders remains high after starting up on the top. That's where he will remain. And so the first lap's out of the way, and we move on to what is next. Lyles trying to make a move here, getting himself out and in front. Zach Saunders still as close as he can be to staying with Blake and company. But it looks like now Saunders going to be moved a little bit further back, and the two-time winner facing a little bit more pressure early, as Thomas Coonan remains in fourth all the same. Similar field size to what we saw last week in USA International Speedway. You see right now the number 8 of Cody Linscott further on back in the Subway number 8 machine. As it stands, running with Jake Raven. Raven, a driver who benefited especially so in regards to the attrition that we saw in USA. The last lap turn of events were as exciting as they could get, and came down to Tony Jones, who's up front right now. He made quite a mistake. Jones right now, the number 41 machine, well, he made himself, of course, known trying to make a move on Zach Saunders, and yet wasn't able to make it happen as he tried to use the bumper, ended up spinning on his own right, and so came down. A major incident for Jones. Saunders got away. Number 41 machine of Jones remains in the back half of this pack. It looks like about 6 or 7 drivers have gotten away. 6 as it stands right now, Cameron Fields being the last of which. Zach Saunders right now going to drop down to 4th and on pace. It's quite surprising already to see the driver, the number 99, no longer the quickest driver. Of course, he still finds himself right there with the guys on the podium, but as it stands, he's been moved out the way by Thomas Coonan, and Coonan looking at he's going to see now Blake Nottestead going down to the inside line. Here he goes, cutting low and deep. It's going to be Blake looking for the race lead in his very first start, and there he has it, going under Corey Lyles, and now coming down the back straightaway, he is toe-to-toe. Side-by-side fight here. Nottestead looking to the inside line. Still going to be neck and neck for the time being. Lyles with a minor advantage. Coming through at the stripe. Nottestead nearly forced down and under. Almost out of the apron there. But that's not grass apron. That is pavement. You can use it if you absolutely need to. But you don't want to get caught trying to cut the track. That could give you a speeding penalty. Drivers, of course, looking to avoid that. And Blake is going to back off the pedal. Now it's going to be Corey Lyles who finds himself up ahead once again. He's got a quarter of a second advantage. So Lyles gets away. Thomas Coonan now going to find himself in third. And Coonan, in all honesty, even though he's not leading the race right now, might be the driver, the favorite driver, to win this event if it all goes his way. Right now, running in third, he was in the fight with Jaden Sanchez. Of course, that was the Charlotte recruitment race. The race didn't take place in the modern Charlotte configuration. However, the Legacy Charlotte and Legacy Truck combo, as exciting as it gets, sometimes brings out a better driver given the challenge, and Thomas Coonan able to just barely, by less than 31 thousandths of a second, come home with the victory over Jaden Sanchez at the line. So Coonan knows this might be one of his best opportunities for a race win all season long, and why not, of course, use that opportunity to his advantage, already running up inside the podium and looking for a good points night if it doesn't end up a victory. But I'm sure right now the win is all he's looking for. In that SimPulse Chevrolet, the checkered flag is the be-all, end-all. And right now, leading through, it's still going to be Corey Lyles. Lyles doing a good job getting out on his way, hoping to open these first 10 laps with the number 56, the only driver to lead. The field is currently spread apart by just about 15 seconds. You go back to Nicholas Wagoner, and he finds himself right now in the 15th position, that number 28. He's going to be 15th and last as it stands. 2 drivers did not take to the green flag tonight, and as such, Nicholas going to be credited with the last place finishing position unless anyone else decides to hop back onto the circuit. Right now, Wagoner in that number 28 Budweiser machine holding his own. However, nobody else to compete around as it looks like he's fallen off the pace relative to all of his competitors. Further on up now, the number 2 machine of Cameron Fields Looking low on Tony Jones, cannot quite get there, and it looks like two of the admin box trucks once again going to be side by side, and this time it looks like it's going to be Cameron Fields with a minor advantage. He lunges down to the bottom side and now finds himself with an opportunity, of course, to push through, but Tony Jones going to block once more, and Jones up high sees himself up top yet again. With Tony Jones continuing to fight this one out, Jones has been using that high side to lay down the dirty air, and perhaps that's the only thing right now that's keeping Cameron at bay. He had the opportunity and the ability to really run up there rather quickly, in all honesty, but it all comes down to now trying to block that momentum and take it away. Looks like Jones has done a real good job of just that, and as such, Tony now finds himself there in 5th, and it's going to be Cameron Fields once again working one spot back in position number 6. Looking further up now, we have ourselves a battle. This goes up for 2nd. Zach Saunders trying to get his way around Blake Nottestead and Thomas Coonan. Coonan's up to 2nd. Nottestead gets moved back once and twice. Saunders now going to be 3rd. Blake Nottestead going to find himself fading back to 4th, and it's going to be a little bit of shuffling all throughout the positions here. Zach Saunders back inside the podium. Thomas Coonan now going to be in the catbird seat for the race victory. However, still a ways back as Corey Lyles now gets even more momentum to run away and keep himself advantageous. Cameron Fields is going to be in 6th here, and Tony Jones is position number 5. They're still relatively far back anyhow, and Blake Nottestead going to fade back into 4th as he lets these two go right back at it. Saunders, who looks to be the juggernaut for the championship so far, battling against Thomas Coonan. And if there's any other driver who has a real good chance at coming out here and winning week in, week out, it's been Coonan with a lot of pace. At Richmond, he was quick. Ended up getting involved with a wreck. He was inside of the top 5 last week at USA. Ended up getting wrecked by a rookie, of course. And that ended up being one of the drivers who's not here with us today. Thomas Coonan, though, he still is driving, trying to make up some points after what was, of course, the contact he had with Easton Ridner. Easton went on to get in the podium. Thomas Coonan ended up in 6th, 1 lap down. So Coonan right now looking for an opportunity to make up those points. And you can see here, Zach Saunders is hounding him. Take a look now as you ride on board with the 99. Now you can see still Zach Saunders remains just behind the number 68. So far Thomas Coonan able to put up some defensive driving worthy of keeping that spot, but we'll see whether or not that remains the same. Right now Tony Jones going to be coming up on Blake Nottestead. Looks like Blake's big enemy right now. More than anything else, it's going to be all about controlling the tire wear, and tire wear is going to continue to impact these guys all throughout the season, and at a track like Charlotte it is especially noticeable after the first 20-some laps, which is just about the amount of time we've gotten through so far, and that's why you're starting to see that difference in regards to how these drivers deal with their equipment. Blake Nottestead right now may be one of the drivers who wasn't necessarily prepared, and he's beginning to feel it. As it stands, looks like still a little bit more trouble for Nottestead than he'd like, as Cameron Fields now gets to come back up on his way and is looking for an opportunity to come home with the checkered flag. Of course, the checkered flag still a ways away for these drivers who are 3.5 seconds back, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are out of the race. As it stands, Cameron Albertson still going to be just behind. A little bit more battling further back. Here's Albertson with Jace Hale. See the number 70 machine of Hale running in the Napa matte black machine, and now in the midst of the mid-pack there's Cameron Albertson, and see a little bit more trouble perhaps in making passes further on back, but it's a very tight group, and they're coming up now on Blake Nottestead, and you can see Blake is getting beat up tonight, and he is now fading back, no longer inside the podium, nor the top 10, nor the top 15, as he's got himself now into the 13th position and still dropping back profusely. It looks like Blake has decided to come down to pit road with 130 laps to go very early, and that's going to set him off the course for a long way from here. Not going to be a good opportunity for him to come home with the race victories. He's now dead last as Nicholas Wagner has gotten by him. Albertson not able to get by anyone else, such as Jace Hale and Aaron Fontaine, right now going to be trailing. 129 laps to go. Overall, going to be a big bunch further in the back half of the field, but otherwise, most drivers going to be remaining calm as we get into things here in Charlotte. Now, these trucks modeled after the 2008 Craftsman Truck Series season, in which the Charlotte Motor Speedway was not called the Charlotte Motor Speedway. At that time, it was the Lowe's Motor Speedway, and of course, at that point, Charlotte a sponsored circuit. At that time, you might remember Jimmy Johnson, especially dominant at that circuit, and perhaps a coincidence, perhaps not, but Lowe's, of course, his sponsor for the majority of his career, especially during that time, the primary sponsor of the Hendrick Motorsports number 48. Well, we'd have to talk about a different driver who was with Hendrick Motorsports around that time. That was Kyle Busch. In 2008, though, he just made the move to Joe Gibbs Racing, and he was the pole sitter for the 2008 event at this track, May 16th of that year, and overall, Kyle Busch, pole sitter for what was the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. However, he did not end up being the race winner for that event, and the winner of that race, much like Kyle Busch, still competes to this day. It was Matt Crafton who was able to get home with the race victory on that night. Crafton, of course, multi-time Truck Series champion, making his way through Fort Sport. That was his first and only win of the season. He ended up finishing top 5 in the championship standings, but Crafton only able to get one win on that campaign, and that was his first in more than a season at that point in his career. Crafton was a consistent driver from that point onward, of course. But as a matter of fact, before that point, Crafton never a winner. He was a driver, of course, who remained consistent all throughout his previous 8 years, but Matt Crafton's first win came with this car and track combination on that fateful night. Crafton's first win now more than 16 years ago, and he still competes to this day. Kyle Busch got the pole, Matt Crafton came home with the win. That's exactly how it was on the fateful night where these trucks in 2008 took on the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Charlotte, another very early addition to the iRacing platform, and you see him here to this day, even though admittedly a different look for these drivers, especially with the graphics overhaul and whatnot. The speeds, though, if we talk about the qualifying speeds and such, let's try to make some direct comparisons. The qualifying speed for race winner Matt Crafton, well, 173.105, so 173 miles an hour he was doing over a 1.5 mile circuit. Now, with that being said, trying to run the numbers here and figure out exactly how many seconds he got it through, we'll get back to you on that answer, because 173 miles an hour is clearly quicker what these drivers are doing on average, and in all honesty, these drivers hardly hitting 173 miles an hour throughout almost the entirety of their run here. So it appears that these drivers are running a much different package, a much quicker package that was several seconds quicker. In all honesty, tire wear is getting the best of these guys right now. That time by Corey Lyles, your current race leader, he ran a 32.662. His best lap is a 30.925. He's definitely losing pace. Zach Saunders going to be second, Thomas Coonan there going to be third, and all of a sudden you can see the fight inside the podium. It is going to be three drivers hounding each other for the top spots, and the race win, the battle is on. You can see looking a little bit lower, Zach Saunders trying to look for an opportunity, and yet he can't get there. Saunders going to give that second spot right back to Thomas Coonan, and with number 68 machine making his way in, it's a very quick maneuver there that could give Coonan a chance to take the race lead. As such, looks like now that number 68 machine, the SimPulse Chevrolet, might have a chance to take away the race lead from his teammate. It is JFR up in front, first and second, and then there's Cameron Fields up inside the wall, getting side by side with Jake Raven. Aaron Fontaine moves up to ninth. It's now going to be Raven making his way inside the top 10, and they're side by side. Now it's going to be Austin LeBlanc right there, Aaron Fontaine and Cameron Albertson battling. Cameron looking to the inside line. Austin LeBlanc going to be right there too. Number 11 machine down to the bottom side and now making his way back up. Austin with some momentum should be able to take it quickly through turns 3 and 4. And now in the icy 11 side by side, but Austin going to come back up like a dagger trying to shoot high. Not going to be able to gain a spot there. Remains exactly where he is. Austin Blankler right now going to face a little bit of internet trouble, and you can see right there some damage. However, he is good to go and just lost a spot as Aaron Fontaine makes his way right by. Cody Linscott going to be in 11th as it stands in that number 8 machine, and he's slowly but surely pulled his way back up into this pack. That might just be the tire saving going for him. As you can see, Austin going to be once again in the wall just a little bit more, and he comes off of it brushing and still holds in 10th. You'll see Aaron Fontaine right now going to be 8th, and he has a chance maybe to get back up to Cameron Albertson here. Cameron leading this pack and doing a real good job of just that, but so far he's facing a little bit more pressure. Tires are beginning to wear, and that time by he ran a 33.223. Aaron Fontaine is now going to be looking under a 10th of a second quicker, and you can see it. Aaron now making the move and cutting deep. He's got himself now down to the inside, and with 118 laps to go, it's going to be Fontaine up to 7th. Albertson now going to be shot down to 9th as they're side by side for the race lead. Thomas Coonan is now going to be cutting deep. Here comes the number 68. Coonan looking low with Corey Lyles right up top. The JFR driver is going to hopefully play nice here. They don't want to give away a chance at the victory, especially given how the past few weeks have gone. So Coonan cuts deep, Lyles stays high, and as the two drivers remain side by side looking to run that middle groove, Lyles hoping to get the advantage, and he will work down the back straightaway, taking the lead once more. Nice move there for the number 56 machine, and as such, it's going to be Lyles who finds himself once again advantageous. Quick move there from Corey Lyles. All he needs to get the race lead right back, and it's now going to be a 10th and a half advantage coming through with 117 laps to go. Thomas Coonan remains second. Zach Saunders is going to be there in third with Tony Jones, position number 4. Fourth spot for Jones right now, that number 41, and he looks to be all alone in fourth, doing a real good job of just remaining once again quick and consistent. But his big mistake was trying to deviate from that last week in USA and ended up spinning out, and of course not coming through with the race victory as he intended and losing several spots at the end of day. Jones right now finds himself 4.2 seconds behind Corey Lyles and overall 3.5 seconds behind Zach Saunders. The podium not necessarily in sight right now, and instead he's got his eyes set on keeping fourth as Cameron Fields comes down to pit road after 35 laps. Another driver coming down to pit road, and we'll see whether or not this is on cycle. The expectation for tonight is we're going to see a two-stop strategy. Drivers will come in at about lap number 50, and then lap 100 will be the second and final stint of the day. So anticipate these drivers to come in cyclical bases, as you'll see drivers come in just about 10 to 15 laps for their first cycle for the most part, and then from there the second cycle will begin and continue on until about lap 110, and then we'll go from there for the very end of the race. As it stands, we got a lot of fans in the chat room. We'd like to thank Cody Linscott, Rena Bloom, Aaron Fontaine, and Flashbang123 for stopping by as we've gotten our broadcasting started here from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you enjoyed tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. And if you have a favorite driver you'd like to shout out, we'd love to hear in the chat room below. As here comes Cameron Fields back on the way. He is 2 laps down, and he is currently still running. Blake Nottestead has retired, and he's put himself down to the end of the circuit. Number 15 machine going to find himself now 15th and last when it comes down to those positions. So Jake Raven now coming up on another driver, but you know who else is coming up? It's going to be Thomas Coonan. Coonan down to the bottom side, and he's going to cut deep once again. Lyles with no choice but to try to get a little more momentum off of the high side, working down that back straightaway train. And it looks like the number 56 machine, he's got himself no longer the race lead. Thomas Coonan advantageous. Let's see what Lyles can do here to try to take that top spot back. And now Corey is fading. Thomas Coonan able to get away, and all of a sudden he's been able to put a half second ahead of his rival in the number 56. Teammates and rivals today, and now it's going to be Corey Lyles instead playing the defensive route, and you can see him there. Zach Saunders finds himself in third, looking for a chance to get into that runner-up spot. It looks like now he's also got another driver, a lapper that is, in Cameron Fields right behind. So more pressure going to be placed on Lyles here as Corey's going to go right up high, going to move up a groove and give Zach exactly the amount of space he needs, but it won't be any easier as they remain neck and neck now. Corey Lyles not going to make sure it's easy for Zach Saunders. His teammate just got the lead. He doesn't want him to lose it to Zach. Saunders sees the caution fly for the first time tonight. Yellow flag is out, and the reason being potentially a driver who just went down and in. The caution's out, and we have ourselves a yellow tonight. See a little bit more damage for a guy like Tony Jones. We're going to run it back half a minute for an instant replay on the matter. And taking a look back as to what just happened here, yellow flag is out, and ultra-wide camera is going to be used to figure out the circumstance. And this is what happened. Cody Linscott gets involved with the number 9 machine. Linscott up the track, nearly more contact. And there you have it. So Cody Linscott going to bring out the first yellow flag of the day. Here goes the number 8 machine. See coming down the back straight, just hooking back up, making a little bit of contact, and the number 9 machine, Trevor Gill, very lucky in this circumstance. Does not look like major damage and a little bit of a wall tap, but that's all that the number 9 experiences there. Take a look back with an instant replay here. Lets Linscott go, and then Cody hooks right up the track and nearly makes contact. The front end almost damaged, the backside almost too, but Gill gets away. And maybe a brush on that outside barrier down the back straight, but Trevor Gill remains inside of the top 5 as he's going to be able to avoid the major troubles. Yellow flag is out. Pit road is busy as we take a look back live on FTN. Let's see who makes their way out first. Looking at Corey Lyles up and ahead. And it looks like Thomas Coonan, then Zach Saunders, and then Corey Lyles. And a huge jump away for the driver of the number 99, Zach Saunders, up and ahead. Got a little bit of time live on FTN as we now have 107 laps to go. Yellow flags out, and we'll return after the following messages from our associates. Live on FTN, you're watching non-stop coverage, and you won't miss a thing.
Racing isn't easy, but experience.
And coming back now to live coverage, the reason being we just saw an incident under yellow at the back of the field. That's Nicholas Wagoner, the number 28 machine, who had a little bit of trouble right there, and Wagoner gets back on the way, but it looks like maybe a little bit of contact. Here's an instant replay, and you'll see just what caused it there. Nicholas, well, he was already spun by that point. Let's take a look a little bit further back. See here, number 28 machine coming back on up and making his way in with the leading group as we're still organizing ourselves. And you can see, making his way in, no contact. Gonna swerve down on his own and luckily not catch anyone else. And as such, Wagoner once again gets with the pack. Thomas Coonan is your race leader. And as such, number 68 machine holds full control. 106 laps to go. Zach Saunders going to be second and Trevor Gill going to be third, with Jake Raven then fourth and Aaron Fontaine position number 5. Corey Lyles then in there going to be sixth, and Joey Kuba is in seventh. And right now, 45 laps in, he finds himself advantageous. Let's see what Zach Saunders can do. Zach right now going to find himself in second again, but it's going to be even tires. And at the same time, not just that, it's going to be a level playing field for the entire field. Different drivers who have made their way through, regardless of where they started in the pack. Trevor Gill going to be third, Jake Raven going to be fourth, Aaron Fontaine going to be fifth, Corey Lyles going to be sixth, and Joey Kuba position number 7. The entire pack coming together to get this one going, and it's Coonan who holds the race lead. 105 laps to go. Let's see what Zach Saunders can do up at the front of the field as well. Great opportunities for the entirety of these drivers, and the iRacing official pace car will let them go to lead the way this time by. 104 laps to go, and we go back green yet again. Stay tuned. We are just getting started. Two-time defending winner going to be up high. Thomas Coonan, the man who looks to be tonight's favorite here in the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. He is right down low. We're going to go right back at it once again. Now to the green flag. It's going to be in the hands of the driver, the number 68. Thomas Coonan getting ready to let loose once more. Green flag's going to fly, and the iRacing official pace car will let them loose again. Green flag's out. Saunders is going to not get the best of starts, but Coonan gets just what he needs, leading through 1 and 2. And so Thomas Coonan going to find himself up and ahead. You see Corey Lyles there going to be position number 3. Jake Raven going to be 4th, and Aaron Fontaine now fights side by side. He's there with Trevor Gill. Joey Kuba going to be 7th, and Jace Hale will be in 8th. Overall, everyone gets away nicely, and Thomas Coonan again has himself the lead, just barely ahead of the up-and-coming Zach Saunders. Saunders looks high, has to cut down low immediately thereafter. Can't make his way through, and as such, Coonan now going to find himself with a bigger race lead than before, and look further back, steal some other battles for position. Aaron Fontaine rounds out the top 5 now. Multiple drivers caught at least 1 lap down. Only 7 remaining on the lead lap as it stands after this first caution. So strategy definitely shifting, and the JFR drivers are now 1-2 and again. Corey Lyles is up into 2nd. Here comes Saunders in 3rd. Maybe a chance to get back there in the long run. But for the time being, Zach Saunders going to be down and out of a position with 102 laps to go. The top 3 spread apart once again, but now more than ever, Thomas Coonan has the advantage. He's got his teammate now running in 2nd in Corey Lyles. It's JFR 1-2 in terms of position, so he's got himself a little bit of a buffer if he wants to work with it. And at the same time, Saunders being oh so far away, meaning he's going to have to burn up his stuff to get back up there, which might not be the biggest of concerns for Zach Saunders. He got a little bit of practice doing that at the USA International Speedway. But there's different challenges with intermediate racing relative to that of short track racing, and this one becomes especially more noticeable. For Zach Saunders, he had himself a lot of markers to get through at USA in the form of physical trucks. He knew when he was passing, and he knew exactly what he had to do by just looking at the track and the drivers around him. Right now, he's stuck on his own, and there's very little that he can do to compare himself to other drivers besides watching the time. And of course, the relative box these drivers have on iRacing gives them a lot of access to information, but not necessarily enough in regards to how they should perform relative to their competition. They don't see it, they just know the numbers. And as we ride on board with Corey Lyles here, you're going to see right now exactly what he's going to do, trying to respond to what he sees just ahead of him. That's going to be the number 68 of Thomas Coonan. And Coonan finds himself up and ahead in the SimPulse Paintwork Chevy Silverado, now just about a car length back at the very most. It's going to be bumper to bumper, nose to tail. 99 to go, now coming down to the double digits. Lyles is still right there behind. Zach Saunders is a half second back on the both of them, and it looks like Tony Jones may be a little bit of trouble. Yes, he comes down to pit road, so Jones decides to go down and in. Meanwhile, Corey Lyles now trying to find some room. Can't quite make it there. He's going to go high after looking low, trying to get that switchback maneuver in effect, but Coonan will give him no room and give him no opportunity, just trying to keep that door slammed shut once again, and you can see he's going to keep it locked tight. No room for error. Thomas Coonan is going to be using his back bumper like it is a weapon right now, trying to become as wide as the track itself. He's done so with success so far. Corey Lyles not yet able to find a way around, but these two teammates are eventually going to have to give way and come up with a plan, because Zach Saunders has once again towed right back up to them. And a half a second, not a lot of time to gain or lose. Maybe a chance right now for Corey Lyles to find an opportunity. He'll cut up high, trying to make it through using a little bit more momentum, then dive deeper, hoping that Thomas Coonan slips. Coonan has not yet slipped though, and it looks like, in all honesty, they're just about neck and neck in terms of pace. A little bit more momentum for Corey Lyles, but he once again gets blocked, and he'll have to concede. Indeed, it looks like now Corey Lyles finds himself in an opportunity, of course, to stay second, but there's very little room for him to lead. It looks like Coonan right now is confident more than ever that he's got the stuff to go for the race victory, and he would like it very much if he just doesn't have that competition from his teammate there in the JFR banner. He thinks he's got the race victory locked up, and he's hoping he can shut Corey Lyles down enough times where he doesn't try to go for it once again. And all the while, Zach Saunders remains third and gained a tenth of a second that time by on the drivers ahead of him. Gain a tenth, just enough to get a little bit closer now to Corey Lyles, but Lyles falls off, and it looks like now Saunders loses time to Thomas Coonan. Coonan that time by the quickest driver on the circuit. He's the quickest by about 2/10, as we previously mentioned. It's a 31.4 compared to a 31.6 for Lyles and Saunders respectively. So it looks like now Lyles once again, you're going to have to put the jets back on if he wants a chance to push through and get back up to his adversary in the number 68. Thomas Coonan holds the fort, has control, and hopes to continue leading the way. 94 laps remaining, and you see Trevor Gill right now going to be in the 5th spot with Jake Raven in 6th. Joey Kuba is in 7th, and Jace Hale then in there is in 8th. One lap down right now for Jace Hale, finding himself in that number 70 machine, still running with another driver. However, this is not going to be a pass for position. Number 11 machine is going to go right up top, and an easy pass there to be made on Austin LeBlanc. Austin is 2 laps down as it stands, whereas Jace Hale is only 1 lap down. Corey Lyles is still there, about a tenth and a half off. Maybe the opportunity is in mind for him to make that pass, but he's got to find room and do it differently than everything he's been attempting in these laps prior. Thomas Coonan knows the playbook right now, and maybe the number 1 priority is just keeping Zach Saunders at bay. So maybe Corey Lyles right now just trying to push Coonan to get out of the way of their race-winning rival. He's a former race winner 2 times over. Neither Lyles nor Thomas Coonan have gotten the win just yet, so they'll need a push tonight if they want a chance to bump themselves up in the championship standings. When discussing race winners so far this season, Chris Mullins, the only other driver to do it, well, he's not with us here tonight, and Mullins now going to find himself taking a hit in the championship standings as a result. So Coonan right now, knowing there's a big opportunity in the fight for second, and even though Zach Saunders lies in the podium, losing points to any driver for Saunders is unfounded territory, and now no longer inside of the winning position. He's going to be on the outside looking in, trying to make something happen, while these two teammates are definitely in solid ground to look for the checkered flag. 90 laps to go this time by. Corey Lyles going to find himself there in second. A tenth of a second, still going to be that gap. And looking off the deck lid of Thomas Coonan, the gap remains the same. Coonan decides to go a little bit higher, switch it back low, but with not enough momentum on either side, he'll remain right behind your race leader. And Coonan holds fort. And you got to wonder right now what Thomas Coonan can do in regards to his defense here, because it's only a matter of time until he gives away at least a little bit of wiggle room, however small, and that could be the turning point. Even a little bit of contact or sending Coonan right up the track could be the opportunity Corey Lyles needs to take the race lead, and as you can see right now, he'll be cutting under. He's got himself now room and a groove on his own. Of course, now Thomas Coonan going to have to use that higher side and get a lot more momentum off the corner to help himself out. But the number 68 prevails way up high. The high side is still going to be his. Zach Saunders looking on board. And the number 56 of Corey Lyles is going to drop back a tenth and a half. And it looks like that number 56 just can't make it work. Even with a line of his own and a little bit more room in the bottom groove, Thomas Coonan using that middle side to his advantage and making it work out just as well as he possibly needed it to. And as such, Lyles once again remains in the second spot and has to keep on fighting from the outside looking in, as his competition remains just ahead. Trevor Gill right now going to be in the number 5 spot, coming up on Aaron Fontaine. Aaron right now going to be 4th. In the number 18 machine, not a bad run at all for Fontaine. As a matter of fact, only getting better in regards to attrition. Most of the drivers struggling, and Fontaine taking advantage as a result to find himself in the race lead. 87 laps to go, and Aaron will be en route to what will be his best finish of the season. And not bad at all for the Apple Computer, number 18, holding its own in 4th. And even though it's out of the frame of those who were on the podium, Fontaine's doing exactly what is necessary to hold on to a top 5 run. Trevor Gill, Jake Raven, and the company then on back, they are not close at all, in the slightest, in all honesty, and that leaves these top 2 as the battle to continue watching with 86 laps remaining. Thomas Coonan first and Corey Lyles in second. It's a JFR duo up at the top of the board, and they hold the fort. And they've done so since the jump. Thomas Coonan finding himself advantageous, getting the pole position. He did not. Corey Lyles was the man who got that done, and Coonan had to sit outside of the top 4, having to make his way back up, using the green flag running, and his positions absolutely gain with that raw pace. And now he's showing that pace up in front, having the race lead, keeping himself up there with the position, not only going to be utilizing the new tires, but also using that defense strategy of going high, going low, and using just about every groove that is necessary. Even when Corey Lyles gets himself up there with his own groove, it seems like Coonan can defend. But that time by, and the time before, I think now for Zach Saunders, real big opportunity for him to get back up there. As you could see, once again, side by side at the line, Corey Lyles going to make it neck and neck, and it's going to be Thomas Coonan working his way up there on the high side, and he's going to use that middle groove in the SimPulse Chevrolet to hold fort. 83 laps to go. Coonan once again gets the race lead, and you can take a ride on board with Zach Saunders, who is still gaining. He's now within a quarter of a second, trying to make his way up to Lyles. Saunders going to lose a spot there quickly to Aaron Fontaine. No, that's a lapper, and it looks like Cameron Fields is going to make it by. So for Saunders there, all of a sudden, he's going to lose a lot of momentum from what he was building up, and that's because the number 41 machine makes its way through. The lapper in question, Tony Jones, 9 laps down, and as such, he now finds himself meddling with the race leaders. Let's see what Tony Jones is going to do here. Presumably going to go up to the high side and leave them all alone, and that he does. Looking at how much quicker Tony is, he goes up top, gets right by Corey Lyles. He's going to build a gap, put himself in the middle. He's wiggling back and forth, though, up ahead of Lyles. And Tony Jones now going to be a little bit risky as he fights with the leaders here. Coming out of turn 4 this time by. Jones going to be up top, and it's going to be leader Thomas Coonan right down low. Yeah, Jones quicker, just enough, down the straights and through the turns. As it stands, it's the number 41 machine who gets by without much trouble. He's now only 8 laps down with 80 laps to go. Thomas Coonan going to find himself there, and he now also going to see Tony Jones wreck down to the inside. Tony Jones with a little bit of contact, and he almost went right down and in. How about that for the number 41? Tony Jones going to find himself damaged and beaten, but he's going to stay on the track, almost looking to go diving deep on his lonesome. Now Coonan is going to let Corey Lyles have the middle groove. Coonan going to be right up top no longer. He's going to give Corey Lyles that opportunity working down the back straightaway, and this might have been the move that changes the battle. Corey Lyles now going to be a little bit of an advantage through 3 and 4, and he's hoping to be clear by the end of next lap. Not if Coonan has anything to say about it. And now Thomas lunges low, gets it a little bit deeper through the corner. Coming across the stripe again, a minor advantage for the number 68. And there goes Thomas Coonan. 79 laps to go, make it 78 to go. Still not clear. As it stands, number 56 of Corey Lyles almost getting pinched up the track, and Lyles just barely holding his own, keeping himself up on the top. And it's just enough to hang in there for a second, but now trying to lift the number 68 up the track, getting the bumper right there to him. Just can't quite make the contact or make it stick with 78 laps to go. This is it, the final laps, the dying laps of this event. And we've gotten to the point where we're just about halfway. Thomas Coonan, now it's 77 laps to go, sees not only Corey Lyles, but Zach Saunders. Saunders now going to find himself there, 3rd spot in the number 99 machine, and he's got himself in a position here in Charlotte, maybe to take it up in a second. Lyles has been fighting for oh so long, wearing out his equipment and maybe burning up that rubber. Then maybe it's time for Zach Saunders to put himself in the mix and try to put his hat in the ring to go for the runner-up spot. He'll look a little bit higher now, and you can see those tires maybe a little bit more worn for Corey Lyles here. Definitely not a good run through the corner, and Saunders now looking for second. '99 machine is Zach Saunders up to second as he quickly makes it by Corey Lyles. It was just one set of turns that makes all the difference. And as such, now it's going to be Zach trying to hold his own in this second half. The first half of this race has come and gone, and as such, the final laps are ahead of us. And right now, Thomas Coonan going to find himself advantageous. We'll see how long that lasts. Zach Saunders right now going to be on his back bumper, and 1/10 of a second is what he's got to spare right now. Coonan, minimal advantage, but it's an advantage enough. So if he can hold on from this point onward, of course, the checkered flag is what will be greeting him. I don't think Coonan right now is in a really safe position to make that happen without continuing his defense. 74 laps to go. Coonan's still going to be right there ahead, and Zach Saunders now looking deep to the inside. Thomas a little bit of contact there, brushing off the wall, but very little opportunity for him to make something happen. And as it stands, the number 99 remains further back. Corey Lyles going to be there in 3rd. He's still watching aboard, and if anything happens, he's of course the man waiting in the wings, looking for trouble to arise so he can take the race lead for himself. 73 laps to go this time by, and as such, I think now Zach Saunders has to be looking for a move as we're coming closer to that second pit stop cycle. If necessary for these drivers, you're going to see them come down with the next 20-25 laps. 5 sets of tires allowed for these drivers, plus, of course, the ones that they have on their cars. So 6 sets overall. Very little opportunity, of course, to burn through all of them tonight, and most drivers will not. Currently a total of 10 drivers on the racing circuit, going back to Nicholas Wagoner, who was 8 laps down, and Trevor Gill right now, 72 laps to go, coming up on Aaron Fontaine. Beginning to see a battle just beyond the confines of the podium. Fontaine has remained in 4th for the majority of this night. That might change. Trevor Gill now coming up there in that number 9, and you can see Trevor is there, swerving back and forth. Aaron Fontaine trying to make sure he keeps himself straight, but it looks like as a result, he's been turning it back and forth and losing more momentum as a result. And as such, here comes the number 9 machine, Trevor Gill, making it closer and closer. And we might see a switch for position number 4 very soon. No move made just yet for Trevor Gill anyhow. He's gotten close to Aaron Fontaine, but Aaron's been able to hang on ever since that point. However, the number 18 machine is going to go right up to the high side of the track and going to scrub off a load of momentum. That's going to be enough for the number 9 machine, Trevor Gill, to get back up to that back bumper again, but it's not yet chosen to go down to the bottom side. Can't quite happen there, but if you look up in front, a little bit of a change. Zach Saunders looking down to the inside now. Here comes the number 99, and the Chevrolet Silverado is battling at the front of the field. The dominant man of the day, the 2-time winner, looking for 3 consecutive race wins, is now looking deep, and as he cuts low, it looks like now Thomas Coonan has himself in the middle, just trying to keep himself stuck there with a little bit more momentum down the back straightaway. Here down the straight, you got the number 68 machine of Thomas Coonan up and ahead. Saunders down to the bottom side. Looks like a little bit of contact, brushing up, and Coonan goes high. Saunders does too. And the 68 goes just a little bit higher, but both drivers will come out of it unscathed here. And all of a sudden, it looks like Thomas Coonan facing more and more pressure. A little bit of brushing up and some contact there. The most these drivers have done to each other, at least so far. And the number 68 machine of Thomas Coonan, well, 0.2 of a second ahead now with 68 laps to go. And hoping to remain advantageous as here comes Trevor Gill with Aaron Fontaine. Right on board right now with Trevor Gill, and you'll see exactly what's going on amid the fight. Now it looks like Trevor Gill finally making the room and cutting deep. You could see him low, and as such, he's been waiting a long while for that one, north of 20 laps, and Aaron Fontaine there in 5th with 66 laps to go. Number 18 of Fontaine, well, still going to be inside the top 5, but once again losing the spot. And now Cameron Fields, the lappers, going to be putting some more pressure down on Trevor Gill. The lappers have made their way in, and they're a majority of the field now, as a matter of fact. 6 drivers on the lead lap, the rest of which at least 1 lap down. So a lot of these drivers are no longer going to find themselves up in the front of the field in contention for the race win, no matter what happens here. And with 65 laps to go, cutting down and under, there is Zach Saunders looking low. Contact will send them both down swinging. Zach Saunders not afraid to put the bumper to Thomas Coonan, and they both slide as a result. Coonan remains the leader. Matter of fact, he gains ever so slightly. You can see how close there the number 68 machine was to losing it, as was for Zach Saunders. And Saunders going to, of course, deliver the warning shot right there on the number 68 machine. And it looks like now it's going to be the SimPulse 68 leading. Saunders, of course, sending the message. The 99 machine now with a real good opportunity to make his way through. And of course, he's going to give that shot there, a little bit of contact, and trying to rough up the 68 of Coonan. We'll see if he comes back to him real quick here, running in the toe, using that draft, and the opportunity for Zach Saunders is evident. As you can see off the back bumper of Coonan here, Saunders has not left his sight and might as well go for a second warning shot here. Saunders down to the inside, about a half car length is the closest they get, but never a chance to really make it a full car length pass, and as such, the 99 remains in the runner-up position with 62 laps to go. And you gotta wonder now, coming up to close to lap 100, pit stop cycle still could occur at about the triple-digit portion, which is lap 100. What can Thomas Coonan do? What can Zach Saunders do? These drivers, as it stands, up at the head of the field, 2/10 back, find themselves in a real firm position to get a podium. Most likely going to come away with that top three, regardless of what occurs behind him. Corey Lyles right now is the only driver relatively close, and a second and a half back, and finds himself there with 7 seconds ahead of Trevor Gill. Trevor right now going to find himself there in fourth, but 8.5 seconds back on your leaders. He is not at all in the conversation. 61 laps to go. All the while, Zach Saunders is going to find himself advantageous in regards to every driver but one, looking for 3 straight wins. But there's, of course, one driver in his way, and Coonan now getting brushed up to the top side of the track, side by side again. Saunders going to once again cut low by force, and they'll be neck and neck through 1 and 2. Advantage now for Zach Saunders, and Coonan going to get brushed a little bit higher again, as Saunders going to lose some momentum. Coonan down the back straightaway quick enough to get the race lead right back. And the 68's clear for the lead. Thomas Coonan still very close, holding on for the race lead for good, but every single time you think he's got it, Saunders delivers a punch right back, and as such, one more driver coming down and in. That's Corey Lyles. Lyles just made his way in after 47 laps, so he comes in lap 92. He'll have to go long next time by for a chance to go through all the way without any trouble. And now here comes Saunders, down and in after 48 laps. Zach Saunders, the next man to come through, not able to get that race lead, and he's going to have to come down and settle for at least the time being. Saunders now going to make his way after 48 laps, and he'll have to go about 58 more to lock himself in for the end of this race. Now, the trouble from here on out becomes whether or not Thomas Coonan can really try to go 5 or 6 more laps longer. Is there even an opportunity for him to go 5+ laps longer? Maybe not. That's the risky part that, of course, has to be played for any driver right now. Is it a possibility to go the distance? And for Coonan right now, I think if he wants to go for that race win, he's going to have to at least evaluate those options here and figure out how much longer he can go. He's gone 50 laps on this stint so far. If he goes 3 laps longer, I figure right now, for the time being, he would be safe. He would just have to get up to about lap number 97. However, the rest of the field has decided to go through Aaron Fontaine, Trevor Gill, and Jake Raven all together. And as you can see, now coming down and in, Thomas Coonan, after 50 laps, makes his way through. And just like that, it's going to come down to fuel mileage. Can you save to go the distance? I don't know whether or not these drivers can, and we might even see some drivers decide to go in one more time after this stint. We're going to see some drivers saving profusely. We're going to see some drivers just go all out and hope to get away with it. Big difference in the strategy call now. Corey Lyles now has the net race lead. And Zach Saunders there, right behind him. We'll see how Thomas Coonan ends up cycling out, because he finds himself up at the front of the field. To get past on the way through this time by. Coonan getting on the way, 4 seconds ahead of Corey Lyles once he gets out of pit road. And right now, the number 56 is coming right up and will quickly be able to pass by. Thomas Coonan going to end up in second, maybe third. It looks like third he will be, right behind Zach Saunders with a younger set of Goodyear rubber. Let's see what happens here. Coonan looking for a way to get back to the race lead as he now finds himself about 3 seconds back. So Corey Lyles holds the advantage. Another battle brewing, and right now this one is going to be direct. It's Jake Raven and Trevor Gill. Trevor right now going to find himself just ahead of the number 37, and Jake going to see Trevor get up in the wall, and now trying to cut loose and cut deeper. Doesn't quite work out so far for Jake Raven. Oh, so close, though, to really making it stick. As it stands for these drivers, side by side. They have not been just yet, but Jake Raven real close to making something happen and going for the pass on that number 9. Now he will. They will be neck and neck, and as they go 2 by 2, here comes Jake Raven making the move by, and as such, the pass quickly completed with 54 laps to go. Not bad in the slightest right there, as Jake Raven once again going to make the pass. That gets him up into 5th. Aaron Fontaine right now going to be currently running in position number 4. Thomas Coonan 3rd and Zach Saunders 2nd. Corey Lyles leading the way, and now all eyes on Thomas Coonan to see whether or not he can get back up to his rivals up at the front of the field, or if it's going to be tire saving till the end. Two seconds back. Corey Lyles finds himself ahead of Zach Saunders, and Saunders is still 2 seconds behind as we speak. The question becomes, of course, with 1 lap of an advantage on tire, is there a chance right now for that number 99 to pull through and get back to the race lead? And for the time being, looking at the numbers, it looks like yes, there will be. Zach Saunders that time by able to pull about 0.2 of a second, making his way back up there, and the number 99 machine at that rate would be able to get back up to the race lead at about lap 110. We're at lap 100 coming at it this time by, 99 up to the big 100. We have made it up to the triple digits, and as such, Saunders right now making big gains. Number 99 machine right now, it looks like he's got himself there in the 2nd spot with 1.5 seconds to get back up. We'll ride on board with a lap here with Zach Saunders and see what's going on inside the cockpit. And you can see Zach Saunders making major gains up to Chase Hale, but Thomas Coonan making them quicker. Coonan goes right around the both of them, gets by Chase Hale like it's nothing, and does so to Saunders too. All of a sudden now, Thomas Coonan goes all out. And the number 68 machine, now up in a second, looks to be the leading driver in the hunt back to Corey Lyles. What a move that was for Thomas Coonan, able to quickly make it by Zach Saunders. And you have to wonder, is that number 99 machine with 49 laps to go going to try to come back? Is he going, at this point, a little bit slower on purpose, looking for that tire saving? Or are we seeing a circumstance where Saunders simply does not have what it takes here, and he's going to give that spot away as a result? That's a big question, of course. What can be done? Thomas Coonan now going to find himself there in second, and Corey Lyles going to find himself leading the way, 48 laps remaining. And as such, Lyles now sees his teammates, the next one coming. However, that time by, it looks like Lyles actually gains on the both of them. So maybe it's going to be Coonan and Zach Saunders saving, and Corey Lyles hoping to go all the way. A little bit of a different attitude for the two of them, and that might end up causing some different responses between drivers. We'll see what happens here as Coonan now leads Zach Saunders coming out of turns 1 and 2. It's going to be that number 68 still holding forward, advantageous. And coming around this time by, well, we'll be just about 45 laps to go. We'd like to thank our partners at iRacing Motorsports Simulations, providing, of course, the world's leading online racing simulator for now nearly 16 years. If you'd like to check them out, visit iRacing.com for more information. We'd love to have you join the platform and join the Prodigy Racing Association. As it stands, of course, 46 laps to go. Corey Lyles is your race leader, and we'll be back with coverage uninterrupted from this point onward after a brief promotional message from our friends at iRacing Motorsports Simulations.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And coming now with 44 laps to go. As it stands, Lyles is now going to lead by nearly 3 full seconds. It looks like Corey is still pushing. Maybe everyone else is getting on the tire-saving strategy. And now it all comes down to this. Corey Lyles going to be making his way up and ahead, still pushing to gain time. Meanwhile, maybe one driver with a little bit of trouble. That's going to be Aaron Fontaine. Is Fontaine all right? Yes, but slow. Coming down the back straight. Looks like maybe a little bit of contact there with a lapper. We're going to take an instant replay and figure out why that's the case. Aaron Fontaine looking like he got in a little bit of trouble, and that he did with Nicholas Wagoner. They both went down to the apron, made contact, and were able to collect themselves and pick themselves back up once again. But now Aaron Fontaine making a little bit more troublesome maneuver there, and as such, he's going to find himself fading back with a little more competition around him. We'll see what he can do from here to get back up in the mix, but he still finds himself up and alone in that 4th spot. He's going to be put down 1 lap, though, very soon, because look at this. Jake Raven is in 6th. A few seconds behind him is Corey Lyles coming through, and it looks like the majority of this field, besides the top 3, will be put 1 lap down. Zach Saunders going to find himself still 3 seconds back, leading Thomas Coonan around, and Thomas still going to find himself in 3rd. It looks like Coonan, well, he just got passed right back. So Zach Saunders now looking for a chance to lead this group of drivers, I think both of which are definitely saving more than Corey Lyles right now, and understanding that to make it to the end, you cannot go full saw. I don't know whether or not these drivers are going slow enough for them to really save enough fuel. They still have to make up about 3 or 4 laps of fuel for them to make it all the way on the stints they're running. Thomas Coonan in a much safer position, though, definitely. He's gone 16 laps. He'd have to go 56 in total, and in all honesty, that's still several laps that need to be made up just by fuel saving, which is a very risky decision. In all honesty, the question becomes whether or not any driver can do it. No driver showing signs of having the ability to do just yet, but of course now it is crunch time, and if you want any opportunity to come home with a race victory, you gotta do something different, and that's exactly what both of these drivers look to be trying. So as such, right now, to beat Corey Lyles, I think they're just looking for a chance to slingshot right back and make it happen much, much later. Looking up in front with Corey Lyles, the man who leads the way, the number 56, up at the helm. And overall today, Corey Lyles has been one of the big 3, leading 55 laps out of a total of 112. So give or take, he's led half of this race so far. Got himself in control, and he's kept himself there for quite a while now. Coming up at the 50% marker for him would be 57 laps in out of 112. There's a very fair opportunity for Lyles to lead more than half the laps today, but that's, of course, if he can hang on. He lost about a half of a second that time by to Zach Saunders. However, Saunders today has not led a lap. Thomas Coonan has led 57. They're going to be about toe-to-toe, Lyles and Coonan, after this lap. It's been head-to-head between these two drivers all day long, but right now Coonan finds himself on the back foot in third, and Zach Saunders is keeping him in defense. 37 laps to go. Coonan right now going to continue battling as we take a quick look here down to the bottom of the circuit. Both drivers remain. A little bit of wiggling coming through turns 1 and 2, and yet Zach Saunders finds himself there currently in the second spot. Take a look off the deck lid once again, and you'll see Coonan is close. One driver going to come down to the pit road this time by Saunders, getting his first taste of laps led, and that's because Corey Lyles goes down to pit road. Lyles going to make his way in, and he decides to split the stint. The call is not to go for the full distance and try to stretch it. Instead, go all out and make it a half stint. So he's going to go for about 24 laps this time by. He'll have 35 laps to go from here. Lyles goes through, and now we're going to begin to see drivers try to split it right down the middle. So expect to see some drivers coming in within the next 10 to 15 laps trying to do so. Perhaps the best decision for some drivers, maybe not for others, but overall, it's now going to come down to preference. Do you want to be a little bit more aggressive to kick this one off and then go from there? Do you want to be more conservative to try to go all the way? Trouble, of course, is whether or not it's possible to go all the way. It's 50-some laps, and that's something that nobody else has done so far, of course. The opportunity at hand for the number 68 machine of Thomas Coonan, he has the biggest potential to go all throughout. Of course, 10-plus minutes of action, 15-plus minutes of action. We're looking at still more than 20 consecutive minutes on the gas if you want to go all the way. That's going to be guzzling fuel. Even if you are going to continue on in regards to trying to save, you're going to be burning through that gas, and the odds that you make it there all the way, slim to none, unless you are saving profusely. We've seen some drivers do it where you're trying to go slowly but surely, a little bit slower, and then progress down to much slower lap times, like a 35-second lap, or you drop down immediately to something profusely slower, like a 36, 37, 38-second lap time. But even then, that doesn't really help unless you're doing one of a few things, which would include clutching and coasting. And clutching and coasting right now, something we have not seen when observing these drivers on their onboard cameras. We hear the engines. They're definitely still pushing, at least in part, of course, and I wouldn't imagine they're going to go for the clutch and coast method if their minds are dead set on going down pit road once again, which looks to be the likeliest outcome of all in these dying laps. Thomas Coonan and Zach Saunders will be the drivers that hold fort from this point on. They're up at the head of the field. Corey Lyles is one lap down. He decided to come in a little bit earlier, and as such, he's waiting to get the news that these drivers come in. It's almost a guarantee they do, with exception of maybe Thomas Coonan, and unless we see a miracle, I doubt that Zach Saunders will be one of which as well. We're going to see them all come down to pit road this time by with 30 laps to go, and maybe a little bit less than that, and we're going to see pit road become busy once again. Here comes Cameron Fields coming by, your current race leader, as Zach Saunders does indeed come down to pit road. Saunders down and in, and he'll make his way through after a 28-lap stint, so he's going to go for a dead even split while Thomas Coonan remains out. So what's Thomas Coonan going to do next? It looks like he'll stay out just a little bit longer. 29 laps to go, coming down to 28 laps remaining, and the question becomes more so now, how long can he hold it out? It is possible, of course, to get the advantage from running longer, but the undercut also has its major benefits, because you see right now, Corey Lyles, he got by Zach Saunders, and a matter of fact, he's looking to get the lead lap status back before Thomas Coonan comes in, which would give him the far and away race lead, and now Coonan, he knows it, his teammate just got by him, and as such, he'll have to come down to pit road in immediate response. So Coonan comes through, 28 laps to go, 28 lap stint, and as such, Aaron Fontaine, Trevor Gill, and Jake Raven are all those that remain. It's Corey Lyles, the man at the head of the field once again, who finds himself now advantageous to Zach Saunders by 7 complete seconds. He's got one driver still to fight against, and that is going to be Thomas Coonan. Oh, it's the number 9 machine. Very slow in Trevor Gill, and Trevor's going to have to get out the way. Luckily, nothing comes of it, but Thomas Coonan drops back big, and yes, indeed, Corey Lyles will now be ahead. Lyles decided to go for the undercut, 8 laps into his stint now with 27 to go. I think Lyles now, he's got himself up there with the race lead, and it's going to be very challenging to take him out as Aaron Fontaine decides to drop down to pit road. Aaron gets out of the way, and as such, Jake Raven is the only other driver we're waiting on here. Jake going to be the driver, the number 37, who holds his own, currently in second, and while he's a second away from the race lead, he's not yet gone down to pit road, so he is not necessarily in contention here for a podium finish. He's been on a good run as of late, getting 2 consecutive podiums, which of course, the last 2 races we've gone to, Richmond and then USA International, but that streak will have to end today, the way things are looking anyhow, and that, of course, assumes that Thomas Coonan and Zach Saunders make it to the checkered flag in one piece, which they might not, but now Raven gonna have to come down and in, and the big 3 are out in front yet again. The battle persists between Saunders and Coonan, but Corey Lyles is out on his own. "25 laps to go. Time is ticking, and as such, the battle for the runner-up spot is heating up. All the while, Corey Lyles has gotten away. Lyles doesn't look to be as quick right now as Thomas Coonan, but he's got an immense buffer in regards to the time between he and second-place driver Thomas Coonan. Corey has it made, and just has to make sure he goes around the track without wrecking in order to come through with a victory. And it all comes down to 2 simple words, which combine for one incredibly simple phrase for these drivers right now: don't wreck. And nobody wants to see a caution this late. We've gone majority of this race without a caution. Only 1 yellow flag on the day, and these drivers have been as clean as it gets ever since. Crystal clear, green flag racing, and of course, getting ourselves shuffled up after an incident never helps out the field. However, ever since, we have been good to go. And with 23 laps to go, we'll be good to crank it up, this time by with the best cameras on the iRacing platform. We'd like to thank TrackCams22.com for providing all of our iRacing cameras for tonight's event and every event on FTN. For the highest quality cameras on the iRacing platform, visit TrackCams22.com for more information as we crank it up with 22 laps to go. And the caution is out. Crank It Up is going to be pulled back for the time being because the yellow flag will fly. And the reason being, well, let's take a look around the field and figure that one out. Caution out today. Nicholas Wagoner To bring it out this time by. It's the second time today anyhow, and we are once again pacing. We were saying no driver would like to see it. Now we're bunched up again. It's going to be a sprint to the finish, and we might be on our eyes, of course, looking out for what could be our second consecutive green-white checkered. It's going to involve this time by Austin LeBlanc, and we're going to take a look back and get that replay for you. Take a look back, and this is the previous lap prior to the incident. We'll pull through all the information involving the number 11 machine, Austin LeBlanc, and some company on the circuit. Austin at this time was right there with the leaders, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Thomas Coonan coming up on him, and you can see Coonan got around. Zach Saunders, no! Zach Saunders ends up spinning nearly. How about that save for the number 99, Zach Saunders? How about that? The 99 holds on, and just like that, we could have seen Saunders down and out. Even if he doesn't find himself the winner, that's one of the moves of this race. A defining moment there for the number 99. He has been waiting, of course, trying to get back up to Thomas Coonan. Has contact, and he won't be stopped. Take a look inside the cockpit for this one. Race leaders, Thomas Coonan now with 19 laps to go, and since we're under yellow this time by, we got a little bit of time, of course, before we get back to our next green flag run. So we'll go to some FTN non-stop coverage here, and we'll bring you back with all the action as soon as we once again return green. You won't miss a thing live on FTN. Non-stop coverage provided by all of our great associates, and we'll return before the green flag does, so stay tuned. You won't miss a thing as we go FTN non-stop.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Once again, welcome back, race fans, to the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway as we get set for our second on-track activity today.
Racing requires everything that you've got. Climbing into NASCAR on Sunday, it feels like you're getting ready to go into battle.
When I hit that ignition switch, that car fires up. It's one of the best things in the world.
17 laps to go. We come back this time by, we'll only have ourselves a total of 16. It's coming down to the home stretch here in the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we'll once again get to try and crank it up with now 16 laps to go. We'd like to thank once again our camera providers, Track Cams for Gourmets. Visit trackcams22.com. The best broadcasters choose the best cameras. The reason why. Visit trackcams22.com or facebook.com/trackcams, and you can find yourself a user of iRacing premier camera providers as we return to the green flag at this time by with 16 laps to go. Here we go again. It's going to be the number 68 of Thomas Kuhn third, Zach Saunders second, Corey Lyles first, and the green flag will fly yet again. It's going to be Lyles driving us through the restart zone as we get loud. Green flag's out. Lyles gets loose. Zach Saunders will lead us back to green as we crank it up with 16 to go. Thomas Kuhn down to the inside, looking low, and he's got himself just barely ahead of Zach Saunders. Saunders finds himself toe-to-toe with your new race leader, Zach, just for the first time tonight, getting a chance, getting a taste of the race lead, and yet it looks like he's only just gotten it, only to lose it. It's now between two of the juggernauts once again, the JFR drivers, the teammates who are first and third, and they are boxing Zach Saunders into his own sandwich. For Zach right now, the question becomes, how can he defend against Corey Lyles and put the pressure on against Thomas Kuhn at the same time? It's a little bit of JFR double trouble, and as a result, Kuhn right now going to find himself with the advantage. All the while, Zach Saunders, he's up high, and he's losing just a little bit of time and a little bit of speed each and every lap as he gets forced up there in a groove I don't think he'd want to be in. Preferentially, of course, he'd like to be exactly where Thomas Kuhn is, working the bottom side with the opportunity to go up high or stay down low. Defense or offense, Kuhn right now definitely has the advantage, and that's of course the biggest struggle right now for someone like Zach Saunders. How do you deal with the driver who's got the best groove? He's in the best position, and that's why he's got the race lead. He's using it well. So Saunders now going to try to cut low. He gets himself back in line just ahead of Corey Lyles, and of course now this will give Lyles the opportunity and the perhaps belief in himself to go there and try to put a shot down to the bottom side on Zach Saunders, and yet he hasn't. So wonder, of course, why is he waiting? Maybe this is why. Zach Saunders once again getting back up there to Thomas Kuhn, and you don't want to bring out Zach Saunders and his aggression. We've seen beforehand he is no stranger to laying down the chrome horn and using that bumper whenever he'd like. So for Saunders, I cannot imagine he wants to give in and give up just yet. That number 99 machine. He's got the eye, of course, on the biggest prize of all, the checkered flag. And with 10 laps to go this time through, he will stay right behind Thomas Kuhn. And he hangs on even still. 3 drivers wrapped up in a blanket. Number 68 machine to Thomas Kuhn, right now running for SimPulse and their flagship team here for JFR in the Prodigy Racing Association. Kuhn looking to do it all, bring it back to victory lane, but this time in a points-paying event. All the while, it's Zach Saunders looking for 3 consecutive wins. He has been the man all season long to this point, and even though Chris Mullins got that first win at Daytona, Saunders has been the end-all be-all top driver since the very beginning. Of course, now the question becomes, does he have what it takes tonight to complete the trifecta and go for that 3rd consecutive win? Kuhn has kept him at bay, and Saunders has led less than 10 laps today. He has not been dominant. but he's been very close to getting up there for the race lead. Has been very close to getting up there and getting himself in for a top 5 or a top 10. Of course, the top 10 locked in, but he's been very close to looking for that top spot, and he stayed within the confines of the top 5. And now, all of a sudden, it's a train, a 1-2-3 train. The best drivers up front. They've got their own room. They are 9 seconds ahead of the only other driver on the lead lap. Everyone else is at least 1 lap down. This is what it's all about. The best in the field, breaking away with now less than 10 laps to go, and a shootout amongst the icons of this series. And now Zach Saunders trying to push Thomas Coonan out and away. A little bit of contact once and twice. It looks like a bump and a shove. That brings Thomas Coonan a little bit further ahead, and he's got himself through turns 1 and 2 a slightly larger lead. 10th and a half is all he'll have, but it's good enough to run down the back straightaway uncontested, and he's going to use that to pull through. It's Zach Saunders now in second, Corey Lyles then in third, and Jake Raven is in fourth. Lyles right now right behind in terms of that number 99 machine. He is getting hounded all over, and it looks like Corey Lyles has decided not yet to give in. 6 laps to go, and the challenges have remained, of course, as any driver has faced him, difficult and even more so toward the tail end. But for Corey Lyles, he knows there's still a chance at the race victory, even if he's stuck back in third right now. Less than 5 laps to go when we come across the stripe next time by. And for Lyles, he's going to have to think quick. Zach Saunders, of course, the first driver he has to get around. And Zach, no stranger to being up here, not going to make it easy. And right now you can see on board with Corey Lyles, he's right behind and maybe going to be given a half lane. Not enough, though, and not nearly enough. He's going to have to lie back and wait again, as now Zach Saunders decides to shoot right through. He's going to put Coonan in the wall. Contact! Multiple drivers making contact. The big 3 come apart. Coonan is going to spin. Saunders is no longer your leader. 5 laps to go. Yellow flag is out. And for the 3rd straight race, Thomas Coonan ends up on the wrecker. Saunders makes contact. Can you believe it? Take a look back and you'll see the cause here, as it looks like Zach Saunders about having enough. We'll see whether or not he intended to go for the hook there, and you can see Coonan, he's going to lay that block. He went up, and then Saunders sideswipes. Coonan comes down, destroyed. He's the number 68. Saunders no longer has the lead either. Corey Lyles, as we said, he's been waiting in the wings. He just got himself up to the top spot. And as such, we're going to overtime for the 3rd race this season. How about that? Once again, going to be in single file order. And Corey Lyles now has the advantage. Chris Dominguez in the chat room rooting for Cameron Fields. Cameron right now going to be running 8th, 2 laps down, and now still with us inside the top 10, so he'll have an opportunity to maybe make some gains after an incident involving Thomas Coonan, where Coonan goes down a pit road, and he's going to have to get some repairs immediately. 3 laps to go. We are heading into an overtime finish. And the number 56 machine, well, he was right behind the incident, and he got away up in front. The parting of the seas for Corey Lyles, and it puts him back as your race leader now with 3 laps to go into a 2-lap shootout. Very difficult to take a spot away in 2 laps here, but I can't imagine Zach Saunders will make it easy. And shades again of USA International, and shades, of course, of Daytona. Jace Hale's up in the wall, and it looks like he does so on his own. So Jace gets back on the way here, and the top 5 of this field, as it stands, it goes as follows. It's going to be Corey Lyles, Zach Saunders, Thomas Coonan, Jake Raven, and Aaron Fontaine. Raven and Fontaine both getting back on the lead lap here this time by. So it's not just going to be the top 3 on the lead lap, although it was pretty close to being that, and we're going to get a few more drivers back on the lead lap with us. And Corey Lyles remains the top driver here, as it's going to be an overtime finish. The race will be extended And we're going to once again discuss our overtime rules for tonight's event. Here in the Prodigy Racing Association, we are following the traditional 3 green-white checkered attempts. It will not be unlimited. And we got a chance now to stretch this race out and go a little bit longer. So if we do not get to the white flag, and there's a checkered flag, of course, we have to get to the white flag. So we only get to the end of this race if we cross through for the white flag lap. If the leader gets to the white flag and crosses by the start-finish line, this race is official, no matter what. However, if you look a little bit beforehand, if you have a caution before the white flag drops, then we will go to our second attempt and then to our third. And of course, no matter what happens on our third attempt, the race will end. So for these drivers, they know now they have a chance maybe to stretch the race a little bit longer. I don't think they necessarily like to, but they could if need be for the caution or otherwise. And as such, 3 laps to go, and we find ourselves pacing here in the final stages of this race. Another yellow flag. And it all comes down to this third yellow flag of the day. And it will be our first overtime attempt. Corey Lyles head-to-head with Zach Saunders, and now Thomas Coonan out of this race. Effectively speaking anyway, he is still with us, however, will not be able to contend for the race win. And this is it. Coming across the line, going to be now what appears to be 1 lap to green. Green-white checker is going to come down to a shootout of the ages. Corey Lyles, who finds himself, of course, back in the race lead, your pole sitter, and he's been the leader for the good majority of the day. He finds himself now looking to put 2 more laps under his belt. Has led 70 laps so far. Zach Saunders has only led 5. Thomas Coonan leading 74, and it looks like as a result, Coonan has locked up the most laps led bonus points. And he will remain just barely inside of the top 5. Maybe there's a chance for Coonan here to go for an underdog run, even though he finds himself now at the tail end of this grouping. Nevertheless, Lyles appears to be the best chance for JFR, and we will see whether or not he hangs on here in the final few laps. Coming around for what could be the final time. The iRacing official pace car will drop down and in, and it will be Corey Lyles in control. Lyles going to be to the bottom side, and Zach Saunders right up top. Let's grab the gears once again. Green flags out with 2 laps to go. Lyles with the jump, and he's got the race lead. For the final 2 laps, overtime number 1's on the move. Now it's going to be all about trying to defend against Zach Saunders here. Saunders trying to get that run of 3 and 4, build up that momentum. It's the only chance he'll really have. And if we come down to the white flag, this race will be official. 1 lap to go, this time by. And it's going to be now Lyles and Saunders leading the field through. This is it. No matter what happens, it's the final lap. And Lyles now finds himself advantageous over Zach Saunders, but only just. Saunders right there, putting his back bumper right up to the number 56 machine. He will have to block low and try to block high all at once. Here comes Jake Raven. Raven down low. He'll get blocked quick. Right into Saunders. He'll nearly shoot up. And as such, now going to be right up the high side for Zach Saunders. Saunders up high, trying to copy the move made by Thomas Coonan. It won't work at the line. Zach Saunders will win his 3rd consecutive race. Wrecked by Jake Raven at the line. Both drivers come across sliding, and Saunders wins again. Too close to call. 3-time winner in the last 4 races. Zach Saunders does it again, and we're going to take an instant replay. Can you believe that finish? Saunders is a winner once more. Coming across the line, unbelievable finish, and Jake Raven playing the spoiler for another podium, but it's not enough to get for the race victory. Saunders went high, and it looks like Lyle's gonna get kicked around, and at the stripe, Saunders, just by virtue of staying straight, comes home the winner. Unbelievable finish, and Saunders burns it down. What a win for Zach Saunders. Maybe not dominant tonight, but it's his third straight victory. And the 99 team can do no wrong tonight. They came out on the right side of an eventual shootout finish. And a green-white checkered he might not come into with the lead, but he came out of it with the checkered flag. And so, another race will come to an end, and the Queen City 225 has an exciting conclusion. Another green-white checkered and a very familiar winner. Zach Saunders will win from second place Corey Lyles by 9 1/1000ths of a second. And then from there, it's going to be Jake Raven, position number 3. Fourth spot is going to be held by Thomas Coonan. He will recover for a top 5. And it'll be Aaron Fontaine in 5th, Jace Hale then 6th, and 7th to Trevor Gill, Cameron Fields 8th. Austin LeBlanc in 9th, and Nicholas Wagoner then 10th with 11th place. Then in there going Joey Kula. Tony Jones going to be 12th, 13th Cody Linscott, and 14th Cameron Albertson with Blake Nottestead 15th, and Easton Reidner 16th, Justin Wallace 17th and last. And once again, Zach Saunders, your race winner. We're going to get a word with your top 3 drivers, starting of course with the man who got it done. Let's speak once again to race winner Zach Saunders and figure out just what happened to come back to victory lane amid all the excitement and chaos tonight, just barely pulling through. The number 99 team was not the most dominant on the day, but a very similar outcome. Third consecutive victory. Zach, you got it done, and the win is yours. How are you feeling on top for the third straight race?
I don't know. Probably didn't deserve that one at all. Yeah, just pretty eventful. That was for sure. There towards the end, had an incident with Thomas. I thought I was clear, but evidently I wasn't. So I'm sorry to him about that, and just lost for words. I mean, what a finish there at the end, 9 thousandths of a second.
An unbelievable finish, and you were part, of course, of that big 3 dominating the race today. Although you didn't lead as many laps as those around you, you kept yourself up with the same pace and, relatively speaking, ran the same strategy. So how was it like? Maybe not the quickest today, and just having to deal with that fact.
Yeah, I can live with not being the fastest. I think these tracks at a night track is just, you just hold it wide open and most for like the first 20 laps, and then you start tire saving. And that run we had where we went green for a whole fuel run almost, and just as soon as I got to Thomas, you just couldn't go anywhere. I mean, the tire deficit wasn't big enough to make anything happen, and just, we was going to be short no matter what, so we was just pushing, and then had that incident coming off of 4.
And of course, that incident changing the rest of the race, and seeing that green-white checkered shootout, 9 1/1000ths of a second there, and we couldn't even tell who made it to the line first after some contact at the end. What were you thinking through that green-white checker, knowing how close it was, and eventually coming to the line like that?
Yeah, I wasn't too sure what was going to happen. I was as you saw the stream, I was just up against the wall, just hoping it would, stick, just wide open, just cranking on the wheel, hoping it'd stick. And luckily, it stuck up off a corner. And if it wasn't for third place getting into Corey there, it definitely would have been a second. I just didn't get the greatest run come off a corner because it was scrubbing the tire so hard. But it was going to be a close finish no matter what.
And it was a barn burner of a finish for your third straight win here, Zach. And with that being said, the checkered flag is yours yet again. I don't know what else to say besides you have been on a hell of a roll to start this season with a huge championship lead now. Everything's been going your way. You got anyone you'd like to shout out or any final thoughts after this performance?
Yeah, thanks to Thomas and Corey for racing so clean there at the end and during the race. It's just without that, it turns into chaos. So I really appreciate these guys running clean and the rest of the guys that were putting on a good show for you guys.
And a fantastic performance tonight for the number 99 through 3 consecutive victories. On top again, Zach Saunders, checkered flag in Charlotte. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
But Saunders on the way, second place tonight. I'll tell you this much, we might have expected the victory out of Corey Lyles for most of it. And coming out of the scene with a spectacular debut here at Charlotte, just a little short, and I doubt you even realized it at the very end there. Corey Lyles, second on the day, but a lot to come through, of course, on the positive side for this team, coming through the podium, and I believe leading the second most laps with 71.
Yep. Wow, I wish it was first, but whatever. I kind of screwed myself there with a caution before, just absolutely demolishing that restart. But I almost came back. It's just kind of fell into my lap, and I still screwed it up. But whatever, I'm fine with P2.
And tonight we had the ups and downs of the strategy, and overall you seem to have one of the quickest trucks on the day. You and, of course, JFR teammate Thomas Coonan, who seemed to have control until the final 10 or 15 laps. You think having a teammate out there helping you out was a big deal in regards to working this race through?
Yeah, it definitely helped a little bit. Always nice to see another fellow JFR driver out there on the field, just trying to get through the mayhem.
And in regards to your own race individually, we think one of the biggest things, of course, was that strategy. You and Zach, same strategy at the end, deciding to stay out on that final restart, and it looks like that's all the difference in regards to keeping you up there inside the top two. You think if you could have, you would have gone down for the new tires, or was that the right play?
Well, that was the only play. I had no tires left, so I mean, I would have probably got more would have put more tires on there if I had them, but well, didn't have a choice, so I just went with what I had.
And it looks like going what you had, still coming through with a top two finish here, Corey. Now, I know you would have loved for it to be the race victory, and in all honesty, it was as close as it could get without being the win here. Up next on the schedule, let's talk about what's next here. We've seen our fair share of short tracks. We've seen, of course, now an intermediate Charlotte. Up next, we got Lanier. One of the shortest tracks we're going to all season long here, and it is a huge question mark. What do you think it's going to take out there maybe to go for the victory?
Well, I have no idea. Haven't put any kind of practice laps down. It's going to be a complete curveball for that track. I have no idea how to prepare for it.
And with that being said, the unexpected coming up next, but a good way to start the season here with a runner-up finish here. Corey Lyles, have a final shout-out you'd like to make? Well, we'd love to hear it.
Well, one sponsor in the whole league or series, SimPulse, JFR, all my JFR teammates, Backbend Designs, and I think that's it.
And with that being said, runner-up on the day, second place for the JFR crew, Corey Lyles, second here to debut at Charlotte. We thank you for your time.
Yep, no problem.
Lyles on the move, one more driver who we have spoken to quite a lot as of recent. It looks like no matter what happens on these days, a third-place finish, Jake. You beat the odds, you got through the chaos, and you are once again our third-place finisher. Can you believe it?
I really can't, honestly. I I know I was playing catch up that whole race, and I just really wanted to take it steady, real easy, because this track is hard on the tires. And I don't even know what to say that happened at the end. I just had a good run and, fighting for the win, just going for it. It was a great ending, apparently. Haven't gone back to look at it yet, but I'm just glad I got another podium.
You mentioned that finish. I don't think anyone else was expecting to see this team come on so strong at the end. You were up and down throughout the entire race, as low as 13, but getting up there, the rocket ship to move up to the podium and even almost take out the win there, you went down for tires. That's the big thing that we saw from you and Thomas Kunin, and it looks like that was the most important choice to get you up inside the podium. What led you to that decision?
Well, so when we had the caution before this most recent one at the end of the race, I wasn't able to get tires because I had the lucky dog. And so I was already down an extra maybe 10, 15 laps, I think, to the other people. So I knew I had to get tires this time if I even had a chance at trying to stay with them, because I had some pretty good wear on them. And knowing that everybody else was a lap down, essentially, I didn't really have any worries about going to the back of the pack. I was going to start up front anyway.
And it looks like with that in mind, track position and then some helping you out for a rocket ship of a finish here to nearly take your first win of the season. Now, we're going down to another chaotic track in Lanier up next on the schedule. I believe our shortest track on the season, perhaps for the entirety of it, definitely so far. And if you thought Richmond and USA were tricky, I think we're going to see a whole different animal coming up next. What's it going to take for this 37 team to keep on adapting and find the podium?
I think I'm going to have a word with a caution about them throwing Lanier in this schedule. But other than that, it's just taking some time to learn the tracks, learn the boundaries, how far you can push the vehicle. A lot of people just really push the trucks too hard early on, and it just scorches that front right tire and burns it up so quick. So I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. It's been working great for the last 3 races, and just keep it steady, work easy, then come on hard late.
And it looks like the strategy for success has kept on working. And again, the podium is found for Jake Raven of the 37 team. If you have final shout-outs you'd like to make, the floor is yours.
Don't have too many shout-outs, just always the PRA guys. They're doing a good job keeping things in line, keeping things running smooth. I'll give a shout-out to my girlfriend. She's always there in the beginning of the stream, giving me extra confidence and a boost there. But other than that, just shout out to you as well for making this happen as well every week.
And there we have it, coming out with another podium finish. Despite everything that happened today, it looks like bottom step of the podium, yours once more, Jake. Third here in Charlotte. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That being said, we've spoken to all of our top 3 tonight's event. Jake Raven coming home in third. Second spot then in there goes to Corey Lyles and Zach Saunders. 3 consecutive victories. He is far and away the driver to beat this season, and he does it once again. What a way to end the night here in Charlotte with a fantastic photo finish and a victory to keep the momentum rolling for that entire 99 crew. And we'd like to thank you all for watching once again. We're still live on FTN, as a matter of fact, after this. It's going to be the MMS Money Series going to Talladega. They're still live right now. If you want to check out some more racing, visit our FTN YouTube page, and you'll see it right there at the front and center of your screen. So stay tuned with us live on FTN. We're not done tonight. We're heading deep into the midnight hours. We're coming up on 12 o'clock Eastern here, going into Saturday morning. We thank you all for watching exclusive coverage live on FTN of the Prodigy Racing Association SimPulse Legacy Truck Series from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. This has been the Queen City 225. I've been your host for tonight's event, David Kreutz, commentator and producer, and if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. And furthermore, if you want to join any of our broadcasted leagues on the channel, check out the QR code on your screen, scan it, or click any of the links in the description. That's fine as well. If you want to join the Prodigy Racing Association Fund or any league that we broadcast, on this channel. We thank you all for watching once more. We hope you check out our broadcast, which is still live with the MMS Money Crew, and we hope you have a fantastic night. This has been exclusive coverage of the PRA Legacy Truck Series. We thank you for tuning in.